LoveLore Library. Chapter 1105, Qingzhu the Azure Snake, that could bite Ivy. Feng Ruqing stroked the tip of her nose. She wanted to tell Princess Qingzhu that the eldest prince of Tianyue Kingdom had died and it was her son who had killed the eldest prince. Maiden Feng, I promise that if you marry Murongyang, Haitian Kingdom will never mistreat you. Not long ago, we have unearthed a mausoleum with countless treasures within it. It has since then made a great stir in the kingdom. Those who had managed to come out alive from the mausoleum had their strength greatly enhanced. If you are part of Haitian Kingdom, you could get into the mausoleum. Fu Qingzhou frowned as she continued. Had it not been because of Murongyang's constant hounding of Qingzhou and that he had caused her a lot of troubles, she would not have broken his heart by pushing him to another lady. However, she had run out of option. The flower banquet that her father was going to host was just around the corner. The Murong family was her father's most favored. If Qingzhou did not arrange a lady for Murongyang, her father might marry her off to Murongyang. Qingzhou would only marry the one she loved. She would never act against her will. Seeing Feng Ruqing falling into silence, Qingzhou thought that Feng Ruqing was considering her offer. The corner of her lips slightly lifted. In fact, I could arrange other ladies for Murongyang. The reason why I have chosen you is that Maiden Feng is the only one prettier than me. The other ladies, Murongyang might not be interested in them. I have had enough of him, Maiden Feng. Fu Qingzhou was still soothing Feng Ruqing with sweet words. A gentle smile was plastered on her pure face. There is another reason why I have chosen you. I don't want to harm any virtuous ladies out there and ruin their lives by making them marry the one they don't love. As for Maiden Feng, since you have done this before, I bet you wouldn't mind doing this again. Qingzhou did not have the heart to harm the virtuous ladies out there. Hence, she had never forcibly arranged any marriage for the young masters who had fallen for her. However, if Murongyang were to marry Feng Ruqing, Qingzhou would be guilt-free. Maiden Feng. Fu Qingzhou frowned and called out to Feng Ruqing once again. Ah. Oh, what did you just say? Excuse me, I was lost in thought and did not hear your words, me for extra chapters. Dumbfounded, Fu Qingzhou had nearly lost her temper. If Qingzhou did not need Feng Ruqing's help, she would have burst out in fury. Maiden Feng, I talked about so many things that benefit you, you really did not hear a single word that I've said? May I know what Maiden Feng was thinking? Fu Qingzhou forced a smile. It was nothing. It suddenly came to me that the snake that I have picked up earlier had bitten the redhead out of hunger. What? This snake is venomous. It had been a while since Feng Ruqing had left the Murong family. That said, the redhead might have been poisoned. If Feng Ruqing tasked someone to send herbs over, it might not be too late. Perhaps, he would still be alive by then. Maiden Feng really knows nothing about spirit beast taming. The spirit beasts that I have raised have never hurt anyone. If the spirit beasts hurt anyone, it is their master who is not capable of guiding them. The spirit beasts are innocent. Maiden Feng, since your spirit beast does not listen to you, why don't you let it stay with me for some time? Dumbfounded, Fu Qingzhou said. Before Fu Qingzhou could finish her words, Feng Ruqing took out a spirit herb box and tied it around the azure snake's body. Chapter 1106, Qingzhu the Azure Snake, that could bite v. Send it to the general manor. Feng Ruqing tapped the azure snake's head slightly. Reluctantly, the azure snake snorted and turned its head around. You must clean up the mess that you have made. Send this antidote grass over now. However, if he is dead, don't waste this. Bring it back to me. Feng Ruqing glared at the azure snake as she snarled with a stern voice. Maiden Feng, you are too strict with the spirit beast, they will never listen to you. Let me guide you on how to get along with spirit beasts now. Fu Qingzhou frowned with dissatisfaction. The strength of this snake was not strong. Moreover, spirit beasts had always liked Fu Qingzhou. Hence, taming this snake was just a piece of cake. With a bright smile, Fu Qingzhou crouched down. Her eyes filled with tenderness, she looked as soft as the breeze of spring, gentle warmth emanated out of her. Just as Fu Qingzhou was about to say something, the azure snake turned its head around and bit her ruthlessly. If Fu Qingzhou had not dodged in time, the azure snake would have bitten the back of her hand. The azure snake was truly ferocious, but Fu Qingzhou was more shocked to realize that this azure snake wanted to hurt her. Why? Why did Fu Qingzhou fail to tame this spirit snake? None of the spirit beasts in Haitian Kingdom would hurt Fu Qingzhou. She too had never tamed a spirit snake. Maiden Feng, it seems that you have spoiled this snake. I would suggest you get another spirit beast. This snake is too ferocious and could never be tamed for your whole life. Fu Qingzhou smiled wryly. Before Fu Qingzhou could finish her sentence, the azure snake carried a heavy box on its back, glided toward the door with great difficulty. Hurry up! Feng Ruqing gave the azure snake a kick. Swoosh! Frightened, the azure snake disappeared from sight like a gust of wind. Startled, Fu Qingzhou turned her head to look at Feng Ruqing. She seemed dissatisfied with Feng Ruqing. I couldn't feel the bond between both of you. Aren't you worried that the snake might run away with the spirit herb and never come back? Oh, I have simply picked up this snake from the street and it has since then shamelessly stayed with me. I really hope that it could stay away from me as far as it could. Feng Ruqing shrugged. After all, Feng Ruqing already knew Nan Xian's whereabouts. The only thing she wanted to know now was whether Nan Xian was safe. The azure snake was nothing. I heard that you are capable of taming spirit beasts. Hence, I went through all kinds of suffering and spent so much time and energy in order to meet you. It seems that I need to observe you for quite some time before making a deal. Feng Ruqing turned to glance at Fu Qingzhou with a smile. By the way, I will stay in the palace for the time being. It would be great if I could stay near to you so that I can observe you better, me for extra chapters. Fu Qingjia's face slightly changed. If Feng Ruqing were not a lady, Qingzhou would have thought that Feng Ruqing had fallen for her. Maiden Feng doubts my ability. I heard that spirit beasts have strong affinity for you, but now it seems that is not the fact. Look, even a snake that I have simply picked up from a street hates you badly. It seems that you have been greatly mythicized and not as powerful in the rumors. Feng Ruqing grinned. Fu Qingzhou broke into laughter. Since Maiden Feng says so, there is nothing else I could say. If you really want to observe me, be my guest. That snake has gotten the wrong master who has spoiled it. I believe in my own ability. Fu Qingzhou must get the spirit herbs for her father. Similarly, Feng Ruqing must marry Murong Yang. This was the only way Fu Qingzhou could spend the rest of her life with that young master. Mother is utterly exhausted because of father. We must not add to her burden. We can tell her after we have found father, all right. Qing Han pouted. It seemed that with every inch she got nearer to Haitian Kingdom, the clearer and louder the voice calling out to her, constantly urging her to eat it. Moreover, Qing Han was hungry. Qing Han let out a sigh. She plucked a wild spirit herb beside her, took a bite as it made a crisp sound. It was so juicy and sweet. However, she could not disregard the voice that kept calling out to her. Chapter 1108, Leave the Kingdom Behind Because of Him. It was so alluring, in Qingjia's chamber. Creak. The door was pushed open. The young lattice-long, pure white dress fluttered in the wind like a falling snowflake, clean and lovely. Xiaoying, this young master has not woken up. Fu Qingzhou worriedly frowned. Your Highness, this young master's body temperature is getting higher and higher. The heat emanating out of his body has even burned through a few mattresses. I guess even if he is awake, his overheating body would destroy his brain. Xiaoying's gaze swept past the handsome man who was still lying on the bed dismissively. No ordinary man could tolerate such overwhelming heat. Even if he was not burnt to death, the heat would ruin his brain. Xiaoying, I will never leave him even if he becomes mentally challenged. I know you have gotten many benefits from Wurongyang. As you have been taking care of me and keeping me company ever since I was little, I am not blaming you for this. However, you must not forget who your master is in this palace. The young lady turned to look at the servant behind her. Your Highness, I was wrong. Please spare my life. Xiaoying panicked as she kneeled down. Beads of cold sweats could be seen covering her forehead. Enough. I am not a petty-minded person. I will not fret over this. However, I don't want this to happen again. Fu Qingzhou walked slowly to the bed and stared affectionately at the man in the bed. An ordeal has befallen me from the day I met him. I will not fall for any other young master out there. Even if the young master became mentally challenged, Fu Qingzhou would stay by his side for the rest of her life. As long as she could see him, that was enough. Perhaps, even Fu Qingzhou, herself, had never imagined that she would fall in love with a stranger at first sight. Somehow, it was as if someone had told Fu Qingzhou that she must not let go of him for her entire life. Xiaoying, do you believe in reincarnation? Fu Qingzhi's eyes were full of gentleness like a warm ray of sunlight pouring over the young master's body. Currently, Fu Qingzhou could only see the young master in her eyes. She was crazy in love with him. Her Highness. Xiaoying raised her head. My intuition is telling me that in my past life, it was a cruel twist of fate that we did not get together. Hence, he is here now to continue our love from past life. Whether he is poor, rich, strong, or weak, I will not let him go. It doesn't matter if he is poor and weak as I am rich and strong. I don't need a husband who has similar wealth and social standing, he is the only one I love. A pure smile crept upon Fu Qingzhi's delicate face. A look of resolute determination settled in her eyes, leaving no room for doubt. Me for extra chapters. For him. I could leave my father and even the entire Haitian kingdom behind. Xiaoying, do you get me? Xiaoying shivered. Why? Her Highness had always loved the people of Haitian kingdom like her own children. Now, she would actually leave the entire kingdom behind because of a young master. This young master is so charismatic that he has made Her Highness lose her mind. Jior, unconsciously, the young master murmured. Hearing this, Fu Qingzhou stared at the young master once again. Sitting at the bedside, Fu Qingzhou grinned. Her eyes filled with great affection. I have always been here. I will be the first person you see when you open your eyes. I will never let you go. No matter what the others say, I will never marry anyone else but you. Even when the emperor had arranged a marriage for her, Her Highness, His Majesty wants to see you. A eunuch walked through the door and flicked his horsetail whisk. Chapter 1109, Leave the kingdom behind because of him. After murmuring for a long while, Fu Qingzhou turned to take a glimpse at the young master lying on the bed. Then, she turned around and walked out the door. In the imperial study. A man in the bright yellow imperial dragon robe was sitting upright at the desk. His stern eyes were locked upon the door that was wide open. A dim light flashed in his eyes. Father, do you have anything to tell me? Fu Qingzhou walked in from outside, her voice was indifferent but no lack of respect. Qingzhou, I heard that you want the maiden from Tianyue Kingdom to marry Wurongyang. Fu Yu put down the memorial in his hand. Fu Qingjia's heart pounded rapidly. Suddenly, she raised her head to stare at Fu Yu in disbelief. Father, you tasked someone to follow me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known about this. I have always loved and indulged you. However, you must not do this. Fu Yu said coldly, leaving no room for argument. He would never allow his daughter to spend her entire life with a living corpse. Father. Qingzhou, let me tell you the truth. Of all the young talents who will be attending the banquet, Murongyang is indeed my favorite. You should think about your wedding with Murongyang. Startled, Qingzhou looked at Fu Yu disappointedly. I have always thought that my father is different from the rest of the emperors. Now, I have finally understood that none of the royal descendants has a say in their own marriage. Murongyang is a ruffian. I don't like him. Why are you forcing me to marry him? What's wrong with Murongyang? He is talented. Moreover, General Murong's strength is strong. Murongyang has always been pursuing you and never fools around with other ladies. Qingzhou, I believe that you will not regret marrying him. Fu Yu's face darkened. No, I will truly regret if I marry him. The corner of Fu Qingjia's lips curved into a self-deprecating sneer. Fu Qingzhou waved her sleeve and turned around resolutely. Father, you don't have to say anything more. I will never marry Murongyang. Instead, Feng Ruqing will. I am kind enough to him. Qingzhou. Fu Yu stood up suddenly, his face had darkened even more. Do you remember when you fell into a drain when you were young? It was Murongyang who had risked his life to save yours. A couple of years ago, as you were used to having your own way, you wanted to leave Haitian Kingdom. You have even shaken off the guards who were tasked to protect you. It was Murongyang who had saved you from danger. Why did old General Murong die? He had sacrificed his life to save yours. Fu Qingzhou stopped in her tracks when she was one step away from the door. Me for extra chapters. It was something to do with the flower banquet. Hence, they had taken him to the palace even if he has not completely recovered. He is likely to face a rough ride. The azure snake broke into a sinister smile. Don't you dare to steal Her Highness, Princess Ruqing, and humiliate my master. Oh, Shaoqing, I need you to check out a place and tell me if the state preceptor is there. Feng Ruqing stroked her chin as she narrowed her eyes. Her Highness, you have found my master. Thrilled with joy, the azure snake asked. I am not sure. That's why I need you to check it out. I am afraid that I might accidentally beat the wrong patch of grass and frighten away the snake. I would never be able to find the state preceptor if that happens. Then, what happens if my master is in there? Well, just bring him out. No worries. An evil smile plastered on Feng Ruqing's face. If someone wants to steal my state preceptor, I will burn down the entire palace. Fu Qin, get the bird to send letters to the spirit beasts and get them ready for battle. Chapter 11:11, He is as scorching as a fireball in Qingjia's chamber. Two servants were standing as still as the mountains, guarding the door at the side hall. Simply no one knew that a tiny little azure snake had glided into the chamber through the window's gap. Thud. The azure snake fell into the chamber. After shaking its head, the azure snake raised its head only to see Nan Xian lying on the bed. Moss, the azure snake was overjoyed. However, before it could finish its words, the sound of footsteps outside the door reached its ears. Hastily, the azure snake paused and hid underneath the bed. The chamber's door was pushed open, a pure and beautiful face came into sight. With her snowy white robe floating in the wind, the young lattice's innocent gaze landed on the handsome young master in the bed. Her smile was faint and gentle. You all must take good care of him. I am attending the flower banquet. No one is allowed to step into this chamber during this period. Murongyang was not a virtuous man. He might take this advantage to look for trouble. Fu Qingzhou would not allow this to happen. Fu Qingzhou turned around resolutely. I will never allow anyone to hurt him. This was the only thing Fu Qingzhou could promise him. As soon as Fu Qingzhou finished speaking, she left. She did not even allow any servant to stay in the chamber. Hence, besides Nan Xian who had lost his consciousness, the azure snake was the only one, hiding beneath the bed in the chamber. The azure snake had nearly exploded with anger. It knew from the beginning that Fu Qingzhou was not a virtuous lady. It turned out that she had actually fallen for Nan Xian because of his stunning face. Fu Qingzhou too was a princess, but she was far different. If I report this, will Her Highness stop threatening to make snake soup out of me in the future? The azure snake turned its head to look at Nan Xian. After pondering for a long while, it knew that it could hardly bring its master out, as one could easily notice when it were to carry him out through the window. Hence, the azure snake glided out, through the window, without even taking another glance at Nan Xian. In the chamber, fragrant smoke lingered in the air. Bang! The azure snake slammed the door open and glided up to Feng Ruqing before bursting into tears. Your Highness, I have found Master. All of a sudden, Feng Ruqing opened her eyes and got up from the bed. Perhaps she was overly agitated. She squeezed the azure snake's neck. Suffocating, the azure snake's eyes had nearly popped out of sockets. Me for extra chapters. Your Highness, with great difficulty, the azure snake choked. Feng Ruqing suddenly realized that she was squeezing the azure snake's neck. She hurriedly loosened her grip and squeezed the azure snake at its 7-inch point where the snake's heart was located. Dumbfounded, the azure snake had always felt that Feng Ruqing wanted to kill it. Your Highness, could you please loosen your grip? I can't speak. Oh. I am sorry. I didn't mean it. Feng Ruqing smiled awkwardly. Once Feng Ruqing had loosened her grip, the azure snake subconsciously backed away, keeping a safe distance. Your Highness, that master is in the place that you have mentioned. By the way, the princess of Haitian Kingdom must have something evil in mind. She seems to have fallen for master's beautiful face. However, she is ugly. My master would never fall for her. That said, has Nan Xian always judged people solely by their appearance? Feng Ruqing narrowed her eyes. How is that possible? The azure snake almost leaped in shock. My master is not that kind of person. Your Highness, you were so overweight back in those days, but you have always been on my master's mind. Chapter 11-12. He is as scorching as a fireball 2-inch. I was ugly back then. I was no match for Fu Qingzhou. Feng Ruqing smoothed her hair back behind her ear as she asked nonchalantly. The azure snake trembled and then broke into a bright smile. That is impossible. Absolutely impossible. Even if your Highness is overweight, you are exquisitely shaped. You still looked stunning. How could Fu Qingzhou compare herself against you? You have always looked gorgeous, now and in the past. My master truly has a discerning eye. Oh, so you are still saying that. Nan Xian judges people solely by their appearance. The azure snake was dumbstruck by Feng Ruqing's words. I will tell Nan Xian honestly later. Feng Ruqing's gaze swept past the azure snake, picked it up by its tail, and walked out the door. Let's go. Now that we know where Nan Xian is, things are so much easier. When Feng Ruqing knew that Nan Xian was still safe and sound, it was a load off of her mind. She felt so refreshed that even the air outside the chamber was far fresher than it was before. At the side hall next to King Jia's chamber, 2 servants guarded the door. Seeing Feng Ruqing approaching, they walked forward and stopped her. "Stop. Princess Qingzhou said that no one is allowed to step into this place." Feng Ruqing lifted her arm, a loud bang sounded and a powerful force emanated from her sleeve. The 2 servants fell to the ground silently, blood could be seen oozing out of their body, staining the ground red. "Fu Chen and Qin Han, both of you guard the door. Whoever dares to break in, kill them. Also, kill those who come after me." Feng Ruqing was still calm and nonchalant. However, the storm brewing under her skin was glaringly obvious. "Shao Qing, the spirit beasts will reach here soon. You meet them outside the city. I'm afraid that they may not be able to find this place." As soon as Feng Ruqing was finished talking, 2 rays of light shot out of her chest before turning into a boy and a girl, standing before her. Feng Ruqing pushed open the door and walked into the chamber. Apparently, it was a lattice chamber, snowy white, clean, and untainted. The veil floated up as a light breeze swept through, revealing a familiar figure lying on the bed. There was a picturesque and otherworldly man lying quietly on the bed. The golden sunlight poured over, shrouded his stunning face with warm glistening rays of sunshine. Feng Ruqing walked over slowly and held onto the man's hand lightly. The man's palm was scorching hot, she could feel the burning sensation in her hand. Nonetheless, she did not loosen her hand. Instead, she tightened her grip on his hand. "Nan Xian, I am here for you. You have always been standing before me and protect me no matter what happened in the past. Me for extra chapters. This time, I am here to take you home." Feng Ruqing's lips curved into a faint smile. Her flamboyant demeanor was gone and a peaceful expression settled on her face. The young lady leaned over and pressed a gentle kiss onto the man's lips. His lips were as scorching hot as his body. "Mother! What are you doing?" Fu Chen pushed open the door and rushed into the chamber anxiously. Because of the medium, Fu Chen was extremely close to Feng Ruqing. Their relationship was even stronger than the relationship between Feng Ruqing and spirit beasts. He could feel the pain that Feng Ruqing was suffering now. "Get out!" Feng Ruqing said nonchalantly as if she had not felt the pain. "Mother! Get out!" Stunned, Fu Chen stared at the young lady before him and bit his lower lip. "Qin Han and I have killed all the people Fu Qingzhou had tasked to shadow you. Also, don't hurt yourself, just to save father." Chapter 11:13. He is as scorching as a fireball. In the end, Fu Chen could not help but close the door, walked out, and guarded outside the chamber. Feng Ruqing's fingers combed through Nan Xian's black hair as she smiled. "Nan Xian, we haven't met each other for a year. Don't you want to see me? I don't know what you have encountered in the mausoleum to have fallen into this sorry state. However, no matter what happens to you, I will take you out of here." Somehow, Feng Ruqing could feel that Nan Xian's body heat had somewhat reduced. If Nan Xian's body had been as hot as boiling water before, now, his body felt like the water that had been letting cool for a quarter of an hour. Feng Ruqing was thrilled and grasped Nan Xian's hand tightly. "Nan Xian, I know you must be able to hear what I said. Wake up. Otherwise, I will send you to Jiuming. He has always been drooling over you. If you don't wake up, you are going to spend a lifetime with him." This time, Nan Xian's body temperature did not change in the slightest. Feng Ruqing frowned. Could Nan Xian not hear her? Suddenly, something came to Feng Ruqing. She lowered her head and pressed a kiss on Nan Xian's lips. Her kiss was gentle and affectionate. Sure enough, Nan Xian's body heat had, once again, lowered. "Qing'er," a low voice drifted in the air, like a breeze, swept through Feng Ruqing's ears. Feng Ruqing raised her head, Her eyes were fixed at Nan Xian's beautiful face. Nan Xian's eyes were still closed as he kept whispering unconsciously. "Qing'er, I'm here." Feng Ruqing held his hand tightly, sank into a ponder. After a long while, she loosened her grip and got up. She took off her robe, covered herself with the blanket, buried herself deep on the bed, and hugged Nan Xian tightly. "Nan Xian, I will take you out of here, but you must wake up first." It was scorching hot. As the skin of her body was more delicate than her hand, the scorching heat had made Feng Ruqing's forehead covered in sweat. She could feel the pain searing through her body. However, that was the only thing that she could do to cool down his body. Amidst a sea of fire, a teenager stood in a snowy white robe, looking ethereal and otherworldly. He did not seem to be very old, but he looked far composed beyond his years. Me for extra chapters. Deep within a sea of fire, they were standing on the only rock that was about to collapse. Changfeng, do you trust me? I will take you out of this place." The woman in red looked back and smiled at Nan Changfeng confidently and flamboyantly. "I trust you." The teenager lifted his head to stare at the exquisitely gorgeous lady before him. The teenager had experienced this too many times. Every time when he was on the verge of death, Jior would take him out. He had put his life in her hand since and he had never regretted it. "But I can't go with you this time, why?" Stunned, the lady in red raised her head and stared at the teenager in bewilderment. "Previously, I was Nan Changfeng and you were Jior. Nan Changfeng was not the only man in your heart and countless ladies have gone crazy over you. On the contrary, you are the only one in my heart." The teenager smiled nonchalantly. "No matter what we have gone through before, I am no longer Nan Changfeng and you are no longer Jior. I am Nan Xian, the state preceptor of Luyun Kingdom. The person I love the most now is the person you are now, the person who has been reincarnated. Hence, I am not leaving with you this time." Chapter 11:14. He is as scorching as a fireball IV these days. Every moment that Nan Changfeng had spent with the Ninth Emperor flashed through his mind. Throughout his entire dream felt like a slow-motion replay, the moment they knew each other, the moment of passing. Although he was taking charge of his own body, he could not control the things in his mind. He was like a passerby, watching everything that was happening in the world on the sidelines. Over and over again, the story of Nan Changfeng and the Ninth Emperor flashed through his mind, but he was not capable of voicing out his thought. This time, he could finally express himself. On top of that, he felt as if there was a piece of a feather brushing against his lips. It was so warm and familiar. It felt like Qing'er must have come to him. He could no longer stay in this world. He must not leave her alone. Therefore, this time, the teenager did not hold on to the Ninth Emperor's hands to leave this sea of fire just as he used to. Instead, he pushed her away lightly and jumped into the sea of fire. In a split second, he was swallowed up by the ferocious flame and vanished without a trace. Even if it was just a dream, the pain was real. He felt as if he had experienced the heart-wrenching pain, but his heart was as calm as a light gust of breeze and very much at ease. He could feel the pain when the sea of fire swallowed him up and his entire body burned down in the flames. Nonetheless, he had no regret. In the past, the dream had always been leading him by his nose, time and time again. He was not capable of making a choice. This time, if he did not die in the Ninth Emperor's arms, he would no longer experience the same pain again. Perhaps, he could leave the dream and return to the real world where he could get together with Feng Ruqing again. After all, it was her past life. The past had passed, he must learn to let it go. He only wanted to cherish her in this life, and let go of the past. The flawless white veil brushed through Feng Ruqing's cheek. Feng Ruqing was pleasantly surprised to find that the man's temperature was getting lower and lower. However, when his body cooled down to a certain temperature, it stopped dropping further. Still not enough. The young lattice eyes were half-lidded, her fair skin was extremely luring under the brilliant sunlight. Once again, her lips brushed across his. Her kiss was as soft as a feather, leaving no trace on his lips. Me for extra chapters. But just as her lips parted, his arms suddenly stretched out and held her tightly around her waist. "Chingar," the man murmured softly, his voice was full of endless tenderness. Fong Rooking's body stiffened. The man's palm was so warm and gentle that she found herself deeply attached to him. "Nansien, you are awake." Fong Rooking's gaze landed on the man. As the man had not completely regained his senses, her warm breath crumbled the last strand of the man's self-control. He could no longer extricate himself. "I feel hot. Oh, what else could cool you down?" Different from the past, his gentle eyes were full of strong aggression. "State Preceptor, initially, I had wanted to help you cool down. Now, you are forcing me to do this." The man had not fully regained his senses, but he whispered softly in response as he could feel the lady before him was the lady he loved. "If I sleep with you, will you turn Sangyu mainland upside down to hunt me down?" The man did not utter a word but pressed a fleeting kiss onto her lips like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. Chapter 11:15. He is as scorching as a fireball. Brother Fu Qin, what are father and mother doing? Outside the chamber, Qin Han's ears perked up as she stared dazedly at Fu Qin. Fu Qin quickly covered Qin Han's ears as he blushed. "Don't eavesdrop on them. This isn't something a child should know. Stay focused and guard the door together with me." Qin Han pouted indignantly. "Pfft. Brother Fu Qin had just slept a little longer than me, but he has actually grown so tall. He even despises me by calling me a child. Was he not a child before? No way. Brother Fu Qin is so mean. I'll never talk to you again." Qin Han turned her head sideways in a fit of pique and refused to talk to Fu Qin. Hearing the sound in the chamber, a dusky blush rose to Fu Qin's face. He glimpsed at Qin Han subconsciously. Burning with fury, the little maiden pouted. She looked extremely adorable, it was as if her cheeks were two apples. It was a pity that Qin Han did not grow up this time. No way. What was I thinking? I must not do this. Fu Chen and Qin Han were playmates since childhood and grew up together. They had even transformed into their human forms together. Moreover, Qin Han had always called Fu Chen her brother. That said, both of them were siblings. Fu Chen must never do this to his sibling. Although some people did marry their cousins, Fu Chen and Qin Han were not cousins who shared the same blood. Naturally, it was impossible for them to get together. We are siblings. Siblings. It's not going to work. In the past, whenever Qin Han got angry, Fu Chen would coax her. This time Qin Han had been waiting so long, but Fu Chen did not even utter a word. Pouting, beads of aggrieved tears ran down her cheeks like drops of pearls. "Qin Han, what's wrong? Did you hurt yourself? Are you hungry?" Fu Chen asked as he panicked. Qin Han's eyes were full of resentment and grievance. She cried even harder. However, she still remembered her task and did not let out a sound. "Brother Fu Chen is getting taller now, but I am still a dwarf. Hence, you dislike me and give me the cold shoulder. I'm sure you will look for other spirit herb sisters. Well, it doesn't matter. Mother loves me and I have a so-called father. Even if you leave me, I am no longer alone. I'm just slightly shorter, how could Brother Fu Chen despise me? Pfft. I must eat more spirit herbs to grow taller. When I am taller than Brother Fu Chen, I can mock him then. I despise her. Well, I didn't even know that I have done that. Fu Chen was dumbstruck by Qin Han's words. Qin Han, I do not despise you. I don't believe you, you didn't coax me just now. You must despise me for being a dwarf. I'm short-tempered and no one is capable of coaxing me. Qin Han gave a sniff of disapproval and turned her head away, not looking at Fu Chen. Me for extra chapters. Fu Chen took out a piece of spirit herb quietly from behind his back and showed it to Qin Han. The aroma emanating from the spirit herb was so alluring. Qin Han could not help but swallow hard, her eyes were locked onto the spirit herb. Want to take a bite? I took it secretly out from Mother's medium. Qin Han was drooling. She could not tear her eyes away from the spirit herb. Yes, I want to swallow it whole. Well, not angry anymore. Fu Chen grinned as he asked. Qin Han nodded desperately, suppressing the urge to snatch the spirit herb from his hands. Qin Han was such a glutton. Fu Chen could not help but worry. My sister is way too easy to coax. What should I do if someone tricks her with spirit herbs one day? Chapter 11:16, Accident at the Flower Banquet. In the Imperial Garden, a variety of flowers bloomed magnificently. Besides those handsome young men, there were many young ladies who were comparable to the beautiful flowers. Everyone was very clear about the objective of this time's flower banquet. However, if it were just about those young men, it would be a little lacking. Therefore, there were also many young women who had been invited as partners. No matter how adorable or beautiful these young women were, they could not compare to the innocent and pure Fu Qingzhou who looked like a fairy. Fu Qingzhou stood out amongst the crowd, like a crane amongst chickens. She was very conspicuous and stunning. Your Highness. A delicate maiden walked in front of Fu Qingzhou and asked with the intention to curry favor. I have a question that would like to ask for your Highness guidance on. Fu Qingzhou gently nodded with a pure smile on her face. All right. Feel free to ask any questions you may have. The maiden's heart was joyful and her delicate face wore a smile. I heard a rumor somewhere saying that the princess is the reincarnation of the 9th emperor, that's why the spirit beasts are close to you. Therefore, we are all very curious. Princess, you have also been to the 9th emperor's mausoleum. Is it related to the 9th emperor? Fu Qingjia's smile did not waver. All you have said are just rumors. How much can one believe in rumors? I am now only Fu Qingzhou. I am not willing to live under anyone's name. The maiden's eyes rolled. Now, she was only Fu Qingzhou, she is saying merely now. That meant, her past self could quite possibly be the 9th emperor. Princess has always been so humble, displaying no arrogance. Our Haitian kingdom is not the same as other kingdoms. It is due to Princess' generosity that all those spirit beasts could live in this kingdom. Today's outcome is all your Highness' efforts. Your Highness' kindness is incomparable. That's right, that's right. Furthermore, the princess is different as she is always so gentle to us but has never given face to those men who have pursued her. Unlike the other maidens who pretend to be pitiful and act like white lotuses in front of men, our princess has never been bothered about other people's opinions. In the Imperial Garden, these discussions were everywhere. Fu Qingzhou took a sip of the tea the servant girl had brought over and spoken no more. She was as calm as the breeze, floating like a fairy, a white lotus distant from the world. Pure and flawless, it was as if the pollution of the mortal world could not taint her pure beauty. As she lifted her eyes, she saw a group of guards carrying the redhead on a stretcher. Her eyebrows raised slightly and a trace of disgust flashed in her eyes. Indeed, Murong Yang had still decided to come to this time's flower banquet. Me for extra chapters. He was already sick to such an extent, yet he still came. Originally, she heard that he was poisoned and thought he would not be able to make it today. It seemed that she had underestimated Murong Yang's stubbornness. These men, forever the same. All of them were greedy for the power she had, dreaming of becoming the prince consort of Haitian kingdom. However, in this life, she wanted someone who had no connections to power or looks, a man who only loved her. If she could not find such a person, she would rather remain single for the rest of her life than to compromise. Murong Yang's expression was very unpleasant. If he was just bitten by the snake, perhaps it would still be fine, but the snake was actually poisonous. So be it if that was the case, but the more pitiful fact was that his family's old man still insisted that he participated in this flower banquet even though he had been wounded to such an extent. He really wanted to go back home and have a good sleep, not caring about all these matters. Young master, we have obeyed the general's orders to send you here. Later when the banquet ends, we will bring you back. Chapter 11:17 Accident at the Flower Banquet II. Chapter 11:18 Accident at the Flower Banquet II. The four guards did not even look at Murong Yang's angry face and disappeared after putting down the stretcher. At that very moment, all the men and women who were present shifted their gaze to Murong Yang. This Murong family's young master is really infatuated and loyal to the princess. He's already so severely sick to the point that he can't even walk, yet he is still here to participate in the flower banquet. Actually, Murong Yang is not that bad, it's just that compared to the princess, it still seems that he is overreaching. It is excusable that the princess does not like him. Indeed, for the princess who has such a status, there is no need for marital alliances. Murong Yang, this redhead, is so obtrusive, it is impossible that the princess would ever accept him. Yet he still carries such a hope. Murong Yang's expression grew uglier and uglier. His anger was almost bursting from his chest. What was wrong with being a redhead? He likes his hair being red, so what? Did he ever use dyeing materials or raped his family's daughter? Furthermore, did this group of bastards think he was willingly there? If it was not because his father had forced him to, he just wanted to have a good sleep at home and recover his energy to find a better girl. Fu Qingzhou. Naturally, she was not bad. Otherwise, he would not have pursued her for so many years. However, he was someone with dignity. Having his face thrown away so many times, how could he have the face to continue to be involved with her? Too bad though, for he did not dare to speak out these words. Otherwise, when he went home, his father would break his legs. He could only swallow the bitterness in his mouth and stand up with a sneer. The princess did not choose me, but you speak as if she would choose any one of you. She had already picked up a man, naturally, she would no longer look at anyone else. Murong Yang's personality had always been direct and loud, just like his redhead was eye-catching. All these years, for Fu Qingzhou, he had held it in many times, not arguing with others, and not fighting with others. Today, he really had had enough and was no longer willing to continue holding things in. As predicted, Fu Qingzhou raised her eyebrows a little after listening to Murong Yang's words, and his image in her heart deteriorated even more. She never knew that besides being like a ruffian, Murong Yang was actually so sarcastic toward others. He was not wrong, she indeed did not like any one of these people. However, to say so in the midst of a crowd in the palace would only make things awkward for her imperial father, Murong Yang. When did he become so immature? Me for extra chapters. Murong Yang, don't go overboard. This is the palace, naturally it would not be your turn to be so presumptuous. These words were said by the Prime Minister's daughter, Lin Yun. She suddenly stood up and angrily pointed at Murong Yang. Murong Yang's smile was rough, just like a gangster's, as he looked at Lin Yun. So what if I went overboard? You all are allowed to be presumptuous but am not allowed to go overboard. Lin Yun, you should not bother this master with your ugliness. Back then, your elder brother had sworn that he would successfully pursue the princess. What has happened since? Has he not succeeded? Or did he succeed but was kicked to the corner? Lin Yun's eyes were red as she glared at Murongyang in anger. Enough. The smile on Fu Qingjia's face disappeared. She suddenly got up with a disappointed look. Murongyang, you have really disappointed me. To compensate you, I have looked for a beauty who could bring the whole city to their knees. I, Fu Qingjiu, am no longer in your debt. What else is there that you are dissatisfied with me? If you are dissatisfied, you can just come at me. Why are you throwing your temper at her? Murongyang laughed mockingly at himself. Chapter 11:18 Accident at the Flower Banquet. I compensate him. It seemed that in Fu Qingjia's eyes, this was sufficient to compensate him, sufficient to be considered equivalent to his grandfather's life. Why did his father force him to come to the flower banquet? Was this not just letting grandfather die in vain? His grandfather had known that he was in pursuit of Fu Qingjiu and had given his life due to Fu Qingjia's capricious desires and had finally asked His Majesty, if, in the future, His Majesty wished to arrange for Fu Qingjia's marriage, that the emperor could consider him. However, their Murong family never had the habit of forcing love, so when they had made such a suggestion, the prerequisite was that Fu Qingjiu had not found a person whom she loved and was destined to an arranged marriage. In such a situation, could they consider him? However, from the beginning till the end, Fu Qingjiu had felt that his grandfather had used his life to tie her down, so whenever she faced another man's pursuit, she only gave them a cold shoulder. Toward him alone, she was disgusted. His Murong family's power was already strong enough, there was no problem in not marrying a princess. Was there any need for his grandfather to use his life to seek connections with the royal authority? And his grandfather only did this out of care for his grandson, and that was why he had left this situation as it was and passed away in peace. However, his father was very unreconciled toward this matter as it was his grandfather's last words. Therefore, his father had always felt that only once he had married the princess, that his grandfather's death would have not been in vain, there was nothing left to do. He had indeed been fanatic toward Fu Qingjiu, but later on, he was no longer willing to face her looks, not willing to look at the pair of eyes that were filled with disgust. In the end, he might even have disappointed his grandfather. Princess, I know you hate me. You hide it very well in front of His Majesty, but I have always known. Murongyang smirked a little, the smirk carrying an evil trace. Under the sunlight, that head of red hair was dazzling. However, it doesn't matter. Back then, I had liked you merely because of your face. There is no man on earth who doesn't like beauties. I don't feel it is something to be ashamed of. A trace of hatred and disgust flashed in Fu Qingjia's eyes but was quickly hidden again. I don't like you only because you are too rude and that you have no kindness whatsoever. If you are willing to change and no longer rely on the strong and bully the weak, bullying these maidens, I can give you a chance to turn over a new leaf. She paused for a moment and then continued, however, feelings must be mutually agreed on and not forced. Do you understand? I can be your friend, but there is no way I can accept you. You, too, do not wish to marry a woman who does not love you, right? Not knowing how, this time, after Murongyang had heard Fu Qingjia's words, he was not as depressed as before, but rather was able to breathe in relief. Indeed, there was not a single man who would be willing to marry a woman who did not love him. Such a life would be too pitiful. Me for extra chapters. If the princess insisted on not being married to him, his father and His Majesty would also have no choice. He did not have to face her cold shoulders, hatred, and disgust for the rest of his life either. However, Murongyang did not say these words out loud. He grinned and looked at Fu Qingjiu with a perverted gaze. Princess, if His Majesty forces you to marry me, you, too, have no choice. Fu Qingjia's face turned green. Her gaze was full of fury. Murong-yang, you are preposterous. At that moment, all the young men and women attending the flower banquet came over and looked at Murong-yang angrily. This Murong-yang was the only one who dared to act so preposterously toward Fu Qingjiu. Was it not because Master Murong had lost his life to save Fu Qingjiu that made His Majesty feel guilty? That was why he dared to be this rude. Chapter 11:19 Accident at the Flower Banquet. The Master Murong was a retainer. It was only natural to sincerely protect his master. It was a worthy death even if it meant dying while on duty. Of course, at this moment, all of them had forgotten that if Master Murong had died on the battlefield and sacrificed himself for his country, indeed he would have died well. Such a pity, a generation of the loyal retainer and good general was forced to give up his life in a foreign country due to a princess who had left the palace because of her own capricious desires. Fu Yu could be considered to still have some conscience and was feeling guilty toward the Murong family for many years. However, because Fu Yu had forced Fu Qingjiu, she hated the Murong family and the Master Murong who had lost his life for her, princess. At this moment, an urgent and nervous voice shouted, breaking the moment of anger. Fu Qingjiu turned her head and saw a eunuch rushing over. He was panting. Something huge has happened, what's the matter? Fu Qingjiu frowned and asked. The spies reported that numerous spirit beasts are headed toward Haitian Kingdom. His Majesty is worried that those spirit beasts would hurt the citizens in the city and would like you, princess, to take action and tame those spirit beasts. Fu Qingjiu immediately exhaled in relief and gently smiled. And I had thought something huge has happened. It turns out that some spirit beasts are coming our way. In these years, the number of spirit beasts that have fled to Haitian Kingdom is also not small. There is no need to make such a fuss. No, since those spirit beasts are approaching, all the spirit beasts in the city are agitated. If we want to ensure that the innocent citizens are not harmed, we can only request for Your Highness to take action. The eunuch was panting and it was not easy for him to be able to speak out properly. Coincidentally, Fu Qingjiu, too, did not wish to participate in this flower banquet. The spirit beasts coming forward to seek protection was a chance for her to escape. Prepare the horses for me. I will depart now. Tell Imperial Father not to worry. With me around, there will not be any problems. Yes, Princess. The eunuch bowed and left. The Prime Minister's daughter, Lin Yu, looked at Fu Qingjiu with a gaze filled with admiration. Princess really sympathizes with those spirit beasts. I have never seen her use a wolf panther as a mount. If it was anyone else, they would definitely not be able to be like Princess. Princess not only doesn't use wolf panther as a mount, she also does not allow Haitian Kingdom citizens to do so, but rather ride horses like the ordinary people. Those words of praise fell into Murong Yang's ears and he was stunned. The princess mount, green horse. It seems to also be a spirit beast. This group of people. Treat the horse as a spirit beast, too. A mount was a mount, treating spirit beasts as a mount was quite normal. However, to advertise oneself and yet not actually do it, this was a bit hypocritical. Me for extra chapters. Even if they wanted to flatter Fu Qingjiu, they did not have to be so hypocritical. If one really pitied those little guys, just walk. Why ride? Everyone's sharp gaze once again landed on Murong Yang. If looks could kill, Murong Yang would have been pierced by 1,000 knives. Fu Qingjiu ignored him and slowly walked toward Green Horse in front of the admiring eyes of countless people. Following behind Green Horse was a group of inner palace skilled masters. The group was big and acted very mightily, and did not look like they were going to tame beasts but was rather just going out for a round of patrolling. Perhaps it was curiosity toward beast taming, those people did not continue to target Murong but followed behind Fu Qingzhou and did not bother about the flower banquet anymore. They all scattered and left. The once bustling imperial garden turned quiet and peaceful instantly. Lonely fallen leaves floated with the wind, falling onto Murong shoulders. The scene seemed a little desolate. Chapter 11:20. Even a rabbit will bite when it is pushed into a corner. The flower banquet has ended, right? Murong turned his head to look at the crowd that was swaggering away. Then can I go home and back to sleep? Those spirit beasts were the ones who had destroyed this time's flower banquet. After all, it was not related to him. If his father was not willing to accept that fact, then he should look for those spirit beasts to settle accounts. In the city, everyone was panicking. It was the first time the citizens of Haitian Kingdom had seen so many spirit beasts. Inevitably, they were a little afraid. However, all their fear was calmed when they saw the maiden who was leading a group of the country's army, swaggering toward them. Fu Qingzhou, the princess of Haitian Kingdom, had a great affinity for spirit beasts. Often, without the need of a soldier, she could tame these spirit beasts. Therefore, if she was here, that meant that these spirit beasts would not endanger their lives. Bang! The city gates could not withstand the ramming of these spirit beasts and collapsed with a bang. Fu Qingzhou looked at these spirit beasts gently and did not get angry at their actions. In her heart, all these spirit beasts were like her own children. No matter what they did wrong, they were worthy of forgiveness. Our guests from overseas. Fu Qingzhou slowly came down from Green Horse. Her smile was warm like the sunlight. She slowly walked toward the approaching spirit beasts without any disdain or hatred. Her brows were as straight as they were before, and she was different from all the humans they had previously met. But that was before meeting Feng Ruqing. They were not spirit beasts with low intelligence that could be tricked with a few pleasant words and a few smiles. They were very clear of what they wanted. Amongst these spirit beasts, the leader was a huge rabbit. That was right. It was the one that had met Feng Ruqing to request for the divine spirit fruit. Perhaps it was because Feng Ruqing had met this rabbit first and thus she had always given this rabbit quite a lot of special treatment. The big rabbit's innate talent was considered not bad, but it was not the strongest amongst the spirit beasts. Otherwise, it would not have been bullied to such a pitiful extent earlier on. But, because of Feng Ruqing's special treatment, it had raised its strength to be second only to that of the wolfhounds. Tier 6 advanced level. It was also the pinnacle of the Tier 6. A rabbit was still a rabbit, as long as it was not cornered, it would usually not bite. Therefore, looking at this human that could still be considered as friendly, the big rabbit pondered and looked at the spirit beasts behind it and called out to them. This human looks like she could be good to talk to. Why don't we get her to lead the way to our master, me, for extra chapters? As predicted, the crowd of beasts stopped their ferocious actions and looked at Fu Qingzhou with scrutiny. At the bottom of Fu Qingzhi's heart, she immediately let out a sigh of relief. Her pure and innocent face carried a smile that was pure and clean like a lily. Those who came from afar are guests. Our Haitian kingdom forever welcomes the spirit beasts joining us. From today onward, you all will be my Haitian kingdom's people. As long as you all are around, Fu Qingzhou will never let anyone bully my citizens. Her voice was surging and determined like the sea, making all the citizens of Haitian Kingdom feel a little moved. Fu Qingzhou reached out toward the big rabbit in a friendly manner. Follow me. In the future, you will be my Haitian Kingdom's people. Chirp. The big rabbit looked at Fu Qingzhi's hand and suddenly felt anxious. It had thought that this human should be easy to talk to, but now she wanted them to stay. Not intending to let them leave. Could it be that she and the Marquis from Tianyue Kingdom from before were the same kind of people, wanting them to be slaves of mankind? Seeing Fu Qingjia's hand about to touch its rabbit paw, the big rabbit bit her. Its teeth viciously sank into the back of Fu Qingjia's hand, drawing blood from her hand. Chapter 1121. Even a rabbit will bite when it is pushed into a corner. The entire street sank into silence. Stunned, everyone stared quietly at the ferocious rabbit. Fu Qingjia's face was drained out of color. She had always been well liked by the spirit beasts. This was the first time she was attacked by a spirit beast. What was more, she was attacked by a rabbit that supposedly had a soft and gentle nature. Whoosh! Countless long swords were unsheathed and pointed at the huge rabbit. The rabbit merely snorted, loosened her jaw, and looked disdainfully at Fu Qingjiu. Blood oozed out from the back of Fu Qingjia's hand. She raised her pale face and lifted another hand to stop the guards who were ready to battle. Stop it! Fu Qingjiu continued walking toward the big white rabbit. With a faint smile on her face, she looked as gentle as the spring breeze. She seemed not to care that the big rabbit had hurt her just now. I believe that no spirit beasts are born evil. I was too impetuous just now. Maiden Bunny, I mean no harm. The people of Haitian Kingdom have always lived harmoniously with spirit beasts. The big rabbit raised its head to take a glimpse at Fu Qingjiu. You mean no harm, but you actually want us to stay here. Sure enough, these people want to make us their slaves and work for them. The big rabbit had been tricked once. Naturally, it would never fall into the same trap again. You all must have reached here after wandering around in other places. That's why you keep your guard up. I understand. I will let you all stay in Haitian Kingdom, but you must promise me not to hurt anyone here. Seeing the big rabbit was alarmed, Fu Qingjiu sighed softly. The big rabbit did not utter a word. Even if Fu Qingjiu did not say this, spirit beasts would never massacre the innocent at will. However, when a rabbit was pushed into a corner, it would bite. If these people forced them to stay in Haitian Kingdom, the rabbit would surely bite these bastards to death. All of you please make way for them. Fu Qingjiu looked up at the guards behind her as she said calmly. Your Highness. The guard's face changed. These spirit beasts were different from those in the past. Unlike this ferocious rabbit, the spirit beasts that came into Haitian Kingdom previously were extremely gentle and adorable. If these spirit beasts got into Haitian Kingdom, simply no one knew what kind of calamity would befall the kingdom. You don't believe in my ability, do you? This rabbit bit me just now as it was frightened. In fact, it did not want to attack me. Since I let them step into the kingdom, I will take all the responsibilities. Fu Qingjiu smiled faintly. Me for extra chapters. Everyone was silent. It was true that Fu Qingjiu had always been well liked by the spirit beasts since she was little. Since she had said so, the spirit beast must have attacked her out of fear. It did not mean to hurt her. The guard who was leading the troop edged back. Make way for them. In an instant, everyone on the street edged back to make a path for the spirit beasts. Maiden Bunny, I hope you could promise me the things I have said just now. From now on, Haitian Kingdom is your home. Fu Qingjiu smiled. Disregarding Fu Qingjiu, the big rabbit hopped forward with its nose in the air. Similarly, the rest of the spirit beasts paid no heed to Fu Qingjiu and walked past her without sparing a glance at her. Unlike the lowly spirit beasts, these spirit beasts have experienced a lot in life and they knew how vicious humans could be. Other than Feng Ruching, the lady who had risked her own life to save theirs from the forest of spirit beasts, they would never give their hearts away so easily. Chapter 1122. Over and over again Her Highness is really something. These spirit beasts are so ferocious, but she was capable of whipping them into shape. That's true. Perhaps, Her Highness is the only one who is well regarded by the spirit beasts, just like the ninth emperor who created this realm. Although Her Highness doesn't admit it, she must be related to the ninth emperor. She is just humble. Under the setting sun, the crowd was abuzz with chatter. Out in the street, Fu Qingjiu was wearing a snowy white robe. Her face was enchantingly gorgeous and resembled the radiant peach blossom. As if she did not hear the flattering chatter, Fu Qingjiu got up the green horse and galloped after the spirit beasts. The bronze-forged palace gate was so majestic and sacred in the dazzling light. A group of guards was standing still like mountains, guarding the palace gate, quiet and solemn as usual. But soon, the guards noticed that something was wrong. Not far away, earth-shattering stomps were heard, as if hundreds of thousands of troops were trampling past the gate, leaving a large cloud of dust lingered in the air that did not disperse for a long while. One of the guards rubbed his eyes that were widened in shock. Countless spirit beasts were charging at the guards at a terribly high speed, right before him. What has happened? Why are there so many spirit beasts? Stunned, the guard's eyes filled with disbelief and shock. There were tigers, leopards, and jackals, but why would there be a rabbit among these spirit beasts? Those tigers, leopards, and jackals did not prey on the rabbit. Look! Isn't Her Highness at the back of the spirit beasts? Seeing Fu Qingjiu, who followed closely behind the spirit beasts, the eyes of the guards lit up with hope. Originally, these guards thought that the spirit beasts wanted to raid the palace. They had never thought that Princess Fu Qingjiu was at the back. Oh, I heard that a herd of spirit beasts wanted to seek refuge in Haitian Kingdom. Has Her Highness subdued these spirit beasts? Don't worry, since Her Highness has subdued these spirit beasts, open the gate and let them in. The guard heaved a sigh of relief. Fu Qingjiu had always been bringing spirit beasts back to the kingdom. Hence, this was not something new to the people of Haitian Kingdom. The only difference was, this time, the amount was large, but it was not something rare. Creak. The palace gate creaked open and the guards edged aside respectfully. Me for extra chapters. Not far away, Fu Qingjiu was riding on the green horse, followed by a large troop in a formidable array, the same thing when she went out of the palace. However, the more Fu Qingjiu moved forward, the more worried she was. These spirit beasts are moving toward the palace. Fu Qingjiu had allowed these spirit beasts to step into Haitian Kingdom so that they had a place to stay. However, she was not the master of these spirit beasts. If they got into the palace, it would be fine when Fu Qingjiu was around, but what would happen when she was not in the palace? Spirit beasts had always been living a wild and unrestrained life. The concubines in the harem too had always been free of constraint. When conflict loomed, the palace would sink into chaos. Fortunately, there were warriors guarding the palace gate. They could stop these spirit beasts. Before Fu Qingjiu could heave a sigh of relief, the gate that was once tightly closed was pushed open. At this time, all the spirit beasts seemed to turn into beasts like the wild horses that were freed from the fetters of control, flooding into the palace, and vanishing without a trace, leaving only a cloud of dust blowing at Fu Qingjiu's face. Seeing this, her face darkened a few shades. Chapter 1123. Over and over again the imperial garden was extremely prosperous and vigorous as hundreds of thousands of flowers came into full bloom. Murongyang was sitting on a stretcher with great difficulty. All of you take me back now. Murongyang could no longer hold on to it, so he lay down on the stretcher, waiting for the guards of the general manor to take him back. Suddenly, a loud stomping sound was heard, as if countless troops had trampled past. It was annoyingly noisy. Murongyang turned his head around only to see countless spirit beasts rushing by. Simply no one knew spirit beast had run way too fast and kicked Murongyang by accident. Shouting at the top of his voice, Murong was sent flying high in the air, smashing a hole in the roof and falling hard to the ground of a chamber. Damn! Which bastard kicked me just? Murong turned his head around indignantly. Before he could spit out the last word, he paused abruptly, choking. On a shaking bed, the veil fluttered in a light gust of breeze, revealing a young lady with her arm half covered with a blanket, leaning forward and pressing her body against an exquisitely handsome man. The young lady lifted her eyes slightly, her cold and vicious gaze landed on Murong. Stunned, Murong took a glance at the young lady and the man pinned under her. If I say someone threw me in here, would you believe me? The man stretched his arm and hugged the young lady tightly. His chilly gaze swept past Murong nonchalantly. At that moment, Murong could feel that the man's eyes filled with murderous intent. Murong was right. It was obvious that the man wanted to kill him. It's true. Someone has thrown me in here. If you don't believe me, look at the hole on the roof. That's the proof. I fell down from the sky. Murong could feel the blood in his entire body coagulated. He raised his head stiffly. Get out. Feng Ruking's face was nonchalant. All right, I am leaving now. Agitated, Murong turned around as fast as he could, opened the door, rushed out of the chamber, and closed the door gently. Only when Murong had left the chamber, he felt a sudden urge to cry. Murong had always had a keen interest in beauty. Although Feng Ruqing told him before that she had kids, when he saw her with another man just now, it pricked him in the heart. It seemed that both of them were not meant to be together. Me for extra chapters. Hey brother, how did you get into my father and mother's chamber just now? With her big round eyes blinking, Qing Han nibbled on a piece of violet lingji as she looked at Murong curiously. Father and mother didn't kill him. Murong wiped off the bitter tears before turning his head to look at Qing Han. This little cutie pie was so adorable and exquisite, she looked just like a porcelain doll. Maiden Feng, is your mother? Yeah. Qing Han's eyes curved into crescent moons as she smiled. Brother Fuchen said that father and mother have something important to do. So, we are not allowed to disturb them. Otherwise, mother will kill me. Why didn't my mother kill you just now? Startled, Murong squinted as if something came to him. You are saying that the man in the chamber is your father? Yeah, father and mother have known each other for a long time and their relationship is still going strong. However, father went missing earlier. Xiao Qing said that someone had forcibly taken father away and did not want to return him. Hence, my mother and I are here to look for him. Chapter 1124. Over and over again I dumbfounded, Murong stared at the door that was tightly closed. A dim mysterious light flashed in his eyes. This is the side hall of Qingjia's chamber, right? A few months ago, Qingjiu had brought a young master back to the palace and had since then placed him in the side hall. Although Murong was not reliable, frivolous and spoiled-rotten, he was principled and would never lay a finger on a married lady. Similarly, one should never steal someone else's husband. Why would Qingjiu do that? If Murong had lost interest in Fu Qingjiu as he found her annoying earlier, he was now disappointed in her, extremely disappointed. Murong knew Fu Qingjiu very well. She was too dominating and would never share her man with someone else. That was why Murong had never gotten himself any concubine all these years. Although this young master was married with children, Fu Qingjiu would never share him with another lady. Unless Fu Qingjiu let go of him. Hence, the only possibility was, Qingjiu would tear the family apart and steal the young master. Murong's gaze was getting more and more incomprehensible. He had never thought that the lady whom he had loved for so many years would do this kind of thing. There was an affectionate atmosphere in the chamber. The blanket slipped off the young lattice body. Under the setting sun, the young lattice skin was as smooth and delicate as a jade. You are awake. That should be fine. Nansien stretched his arm, pulled the young lady, and pinned her beneath him. His breath was still scorching hot. His body was warm. I still feel hot, only you can help me. As soon as he finished his words, he pressed his lips against hers. In the quiet chamber, over and over again, he kissed her. Brother Fu Qin, what are you doing? Outside the chamber, Qin Han swallowed the last bite of Violet Lingji as she asked in bewilderment. Father and mother have finally gotten together after going through so many struggles. No one is allowed to disturb them. I have set up a formation here. They will never know anything that has happened out here. Fu Qin clapped his hands. Me for extra chapters. Wait. This teenager is Maiden Feng's son. Murong Yang narrowed his eyes. He trusted that the cutie pie was Feng Ruking's daughter, but this kiddo was almost 10 years old. Unless Feng Ruqing was married when she was 10 years old, she could never have such a big boy as her son. Kiddo, you are Maiden Feng's son. This has nothing to do with you. Fu Chen's gaze swept past Murong Yang. Oh, in fact, I know the answer. You must be Maiden Feng's adopted son. Kiddo, Princess Qingzhou will be back soon. You should go and get your parents a place to hide. Fu Chen was expressionless. He turned his head to look at the place filled with smoke and dust ahead of him. Murong Yang, too, had noticed that the spirit beasts were coming his way. He could not help smiling wryly. It seems that everything is too late. Princess Qingzhou has returned with these spirit beasts. I have always thought that Qingzhou is only capable of taming lowly spirit beasts. Perhaps the rumors are true. The powerful spirit beast had never appeared in the human territory as each of them had their own dominion. Only in this way could their bloodline be preserved. Only those unworldly spirit beasts would leave their home and barge into the human realm. Therefore, all the spirit beasts that Fu Qingzhou tamed were not strong in strength. Chapter 1125. Over and over again Murong Yang did not believe that Fu Qingzhou could tame the strong and powerful spirit beasts. Out of the blue, Murong Yang had miscalculated. These spirit beasts were quite something, but they had actually returned to the palace together with Fu Qingzhou. Fu Qingzhou must have had some pleasant encounters in the mausoleum of the Ninth Emperor. Otherwise, the rumors might be true. What rumors? Qin Han blinked, dazedly. Oh, Princess Qingzhou has a strong affinity for spirit beasts. Rumor has it that she is the reincarnation of the Ninth Emperor. Do you know anything about the Ninth Emperor? Some time ago, a mausoleum was unearthed in Haitian Kingdom, the mausoleum of the Ninth Emperor. Suddenly, Murong Yang stopped talking. Deep in Murong Yang's eyes was the reflection of a teenager bursting with anger. At this time, the stunning beauty who lay in the ice coffin flashed through his mind. In his mind, the face of the beauty in the ice coffin and Feng Ruking's were uncannily alike. If the rumors were true, what about Maiden Feng? The beauty in the mausoleum looked exactly the same as Feng Ruqing. Even if she was just the remains of what was once a woman, she had the same domineering brows as Feng Ruking's. Murong Yang was lost in thought and could not regain his senses for a long while. Until a familiar voice sounded and brought him back to his senses. Murong Yang, why are you here? Atop the horse, Fu Qingzhou frowned. Her eyes were full of disdain. Especially when she saw that Murong Yang had actually gotten rid of the stretcher and was standing before her, intact. Fu Qingzhou thought that Murong Yang was severely ill. It turned out that Murong Yang was just acting it out to gain sympathy. How pathetic. Why does your highness ask this? Murong Yang has always loved you wholeheartedly. Naturally, He has snuck into your palace when you are not around. He just doesn't change. The manor lady of the Chancellor's manor broke into a chuckle. Murong Yang snorted. He did not want to waste time with Fu Qingjiu. He turned his head around without sparing a glance at the people before him. Forget about him, it's not a big deal. Fu Qingjiu shook her head. You all go and get a place ready for these spirit beasts. I have no choice. It seems that they want to stay in the palace with me and don't want to go anywhere else. Fortunately, these spirit beasts did not run wild in the palace and only charged toward King Jia's chamber. Otherwise, no matter how much Fu Qingjiu loved these spirit beasts, she would never let these spirit beasts stay in the palace before taming them. At your command, Your Highness. Originally, the guards in the palace were worried about letting these spirit beasts stay in the palace. However, they were slightly relieved when they saw these spirit beasts were actually listening to Fu Qingjia's command. One of the guards had even reached out to grab the tiger. Me for extra chapters. As the rabbit had a good temper, it had only bit Fu Qingjiu. It was still considered kind and friendly to humans. However, the tiger was different. It could never be as gentle as the rabbit. Enraged, the tiger turned its head, bit off the guard's arm, and spat it out onto the ground. After all, this tiger did not feed on raw meat. Spirit herb was its only food. The rest of the guards who wanted to grab other spirit beasts suddenly stopped in their tracks. Their outstretched hands stopped midair. A light breeze blew, sending a chill into everyone's hearts, a terrifying coldness that they had never experienced before. At this time, Fu Qingjiu heard a sound from the side hall. Chapter 1126. Over and over again it was as if there was a battle within the chamber. The formation that Fu Qin had set up was only blocking sound from the outside from reaching the chamber. However, the knocking sound from within the chamber could be heard every now and then. Although the sound was not loud, cultivators were extremely sensitive to sound. Fu Qingjiu went white after hearing the sound. Her frail body faltered as if she would slump to the ground any time. Fu Qin too noticed the movements behind him. He patted his head with his hands. Oops, sorry. Fu Qin crouched down. Simply no one knew what was going on. The sound behind him died out as if blocked by an invisible wall. All right. Aunt, how can I help you? A bright smile plastered on Fu Chen's young face. Hearing this, Fu Qingjia's mind went blank. The sound died out and all Fu Qingjiu could hear now was the ear-piercing sound lingering in her mind. Get out of here. Fu Qingjia's face drained of color, her body was shaking. Her hands balled into fists. Apparently, she was on the verge of exploding. All the guards pulled out their weapons and pointed them at Fu Qin and Qing Han. Your Highness, they are just kids and are easily frightened. Please get the guards to put down their weapons. Murong Yang's face slightly darkened. This is my palace. All of you get out of here. Fu Qingjiu had never been so flustered before. When Fu Qingjiu was not around, these people took the advantage and sneaked into her palace. Simply no one knew what these people had done to the man whom Fu Qingjiu cherished the most and wanted to protect for the rest of her life. Thinking of this, Fu Qingjiu panicked greatly and stumbled toward the side hall. Everyone present was lost in wonder. Simply no one knew what was happening as this was the first time they saw Fu Qingjiu lose her mind. Brother Fu Qin, this aunt is annoying, Qing Han said, wrinkling her nose. I am very fierce, but she is not afraid of me at all. She even wants to disturb father and mother. Get out. Fu Qingjiu disregarded every aspect of etiquette. Her delicate face was contorted in anger. She waved her hand, wanting to slap Qing Han across her face. However, before her hand reached Qing Han, a vine broke out of the ground, wrapped around Fu Qingjia's arm, and lifted her up in the air. Brimming with joy, the little maiden's face was fair and rosy. She looked adorable and lovely. I told you. I am very fierce. Why don't you all trust me? I can bite, me for extra chapters. An eerie silence filled Qingjia's chamber, even the sound of breeze could be clearly heard. Stop it. Bang! A glimmer of silver light flashed and broke the vines apart. Fu Qingjia's slender body fell to the ground from mid-air. Fu Qin raised his head only to see a man in a yellow robe, with two officials behind him, walking slowly toward them not far away. Fu Qin knew one of the officials behind the man, General Murong, who had brought Feng Ruching into the palace. General Murong immediately saw Murong Yang standing beside Fu Qin and Qing Han. Murong Yang, what are you doing there? Come over now. Enraged, General Murong shouted. Murong Yang was hesitant. In the end, he stood rooted to the spot. Father, before grandfather passed away, he had asked His Majesty for a favor, which is to marry Princess Qingzhou to me. However, I don't need this now. Your Majesty, I beg you to let go of this family of four, let them leave this place. Chapter 1127. Over and over again Vi Fu Ye's face took on a ghastly expression. His cold gaze was locked onto Fu Qingzhou, who had fallen to the ground. When he looked up again, his cold gaze was even more piercing. Murong Yang, what do you mean? Murong Yang put on a sober face, no longer as rakish as he was before. The young master that Princess Qingzhou brought back to the palace is married. His wife and children are here to look for him, but Her Highness does not want to let him go. If the people out there know this, I am afraid it would ruin the reputation of Haitian Kingdom. At this time, the crowd was abuzz with chatter. Everyone was shocked, eunuchs, servants, or even children of the officials, after hearing Murong Yang's words. Fu Qingzhou stole someone else's husband? Is that real? Her Highness has always held herself with a noble bearing. Why would she do this? She doesn't need to do this. Shut up. Murong Yang, don't you ever think that you could wag your tongue freely because I have always treated the people in the general manner well. My daughter will never steal someone else's husband or tear a family apart. Fu Ye's face was cold and stern. Seeing Fu Yu lost his temper, General Murong turned his head to glare at Murong Yang anxiously. Murong Yang, come here and plead for mercy now. How could you spoil Her Highness' reputation just like that? Ha! General Murong, you have guided your son so well. When he can't win Her Highness' heart, he spoils her reputation. Her Highness stealing someone else's husband? That's total nonsense. The official next to General Murong sneered. Chancellor Lin, you've, blazing with fury, General Murong wanted to retort the humiliation, but he could hardly say a word. His face twitched, his resentful eyes locked onto Murong Yang once again. This ruffian has ruined my face before Lin Yao. If only I know that this thing will happen, would never have attended the flower banquet. Fu Yu took a glance at Murong Yang disappointedly, shook his head, and heaved a sigh. Murong Yang had always been Fu Ye's favorite young master. He had never expected that Murong Yang would do this. Qingzhou, is what he said real? Is the young master that you brought back married? Fu Qingjia's frail body wobbled slightly. Under the setting sun, her face was ghastly pale, her thin lips reddened. He lost his consciousness when I found him. Hence, I brought him back for some treatments. I have no idea if he is married, but I am sure that the lady in the chamber is not his wife. Oh. Why are you so sure, me for extra chapters? If the lady were his wife, she would not have laid hand on him when he is unconscious. If the lady were his wife, she must not do this. She could sleep with him any time, but now. Hence, Murongyang was trying to ruin Fu Qingjia's reputation. Thinking of the ear-piercing sound, Fu Qingjiu could no longer hold back. She staggered to her feet and rushed toward the side hole. Perhaps Fu Qingjiu could stop it before it was too late. She would not allow anyone to lay hand on him. She would not allow anyone to sleep with him when he was unconscious. Fu Qin quickly rushed toward Fu Qingjiu and blocked her. His eyes were icy cold, his young face darkened. His voice was clear and stern. "Stay away." Boom! Fu Qin gave Fu Qingjiu a kick in her chest. It happened way too fast that none of the people present could react. They could only watch the whole scene unfold as Fu Qingjiu was sent flying in the air, before finally falling into the crowd. Chapter 1128. Enraged Feng Ruching Ifu stared coldly at Fu Qin, his face slightly darkened as he ordered two servants to help Fu Qingjiu get up. "You are not human." It was not a question, but an affirmative statement. This kid must not be a human. If he was no human, there was only one possibility. He was a spirit beast. As for spirit herb, legend had it that spirit herb could turn into human form, but it had never existed. Back then, the Yu family owned a spirit beast that had turned into human form. However, not many people knew this. In the end, the Marquis of Tianyue Kingdom found it out by accident and had massacred the entire Yu family. As Haitian Kingdom had long lost connection with the outside world, simply no one in the kingdom knew that a spirit beast was capable of turning into human form. Sure enough, this kid was a spirit beast. "You are not the only one." Fu Yu turned to look at Qing Han. "The vines just now belong to you. Similarly, you are also a spirit beast that has turned into a human form." Fu Chen was bursting with fury. Spirit beast. Once again, someone called him a spirit beast. "All of you are nothing but a group of shallow-minded scumbags. You have actually called us spirit beasts. Aren't you Maiden Feng's kids? Why is he saying that you are spirit beasts?" Murongyang's eyes went blank. Enraged, Fu Qin gave Murongyang a kick. "Spirit beasts? Damn you!" Fortunately, Fu Qin showed Murongyang mercy. This time, Fu Chen's kick was slower, giving Murongyang a chance to dodge him. Spirit beasts that had changed into human forms. How powerful are these two adorable, harmless little pumpkins? Currently, Murongyang looked at the two kids differently. This was the first time Murongyang saw spirit beasts that had turned into human forms. "Murongyang, come here now." General Murong snarled, his face darkened. Murongyang did not even spare a glance at General Murong. His glistening eyes were still fixed upon Fu Qin and Qing Han. Me for extra chapters. Startled, Qing Han hid behind Fu Qin and only stuck her tiny head out. Ah, it turned out that they are spirit beasts. Lin Yun, daughter of Chancellor Lin, smiled. Spirit beasts are the things that Her Highness least afraid. Your Highness may want to tame these two little things first and teach them a lesson after. Fu Qingjia's face took on a ghastly expression. She could feel that these two little things were different from the spirit beast that she had seen in the past. It was not easy to tame them. Fu Qingjiu bit her bottom lip and stood upright with the help of the servants. Her long black hair brushed over her pale face. "Hold your tongue." Chancellor Lin glared at his daughter and shot a warning look at the two little kids. Aggrieved, Lin Yun pouted and did not dare to say a word. "Kids, I don't know why you are here. However, if you think that you could do anything you want after turning into human forms, you are terribly wrong. I am giving you a chance to surrender yourselves now. Otherwise, we have a lot of people and spirit beasts in the palace. We won't lose to you." Fu Yut smiled blandly. Apparently, someone else had tamed these two kids. No matter how strong Qingzhou was, she could hardly tame the spirit beast that someone else had tamed before. Haitian Kingdom did not lack spirit beasts. Particularly this time, Qingzhou had brought an abundance of spirit beasts back to the palace. They could easily beat the opponent with just that amount of the spirit beasts. She is a vicious lady. She steals my father and wants to break my father and mother apart. If not, it was not because my mother disallowing me to eat humans. I would have swallowed her whole. Qin Han snorted. Chapter 1129. Enraged Feng Ruching Qing Han was obedient. Her mother would get mad if Qin Han had an upset stomach. If both of you are really the kids of the lady in the chamber, my daughter will never tear your family apart. However, since both of you are just spirit beasts, not her biological children, my daughter has not broken up your family. Fu Ye's eyes slightly darkened. Although Fu Yu did not want his daughter to marry someone with an unknown origin, Fu Qingzhou was his daughter. He could stop Fu Qingzhou from marrying the young master in the future, but he did not want his daughter losing her face before everyone's eyes. Hence, my daughter must never be a concubine. I don't care if they are married. As long as they don't have children, everything else is fine. If both of you want to follow him, Qingzhou will be your mother in the future. Otherwise, I will not force you. You could leave together with the lady and you are not allowed to meet him again. Fu Qingjia's heart skipped a beat. She turned to stare at Fu Yi's cold face. Her heart was overflowing with warmth. In the end, father agrees. Although Fu Qingzhou did not know if her father agreed earnestly or he was just defending her, his indulgence and affection toward her had melted her heart. Your Majesty, what about the things that you promised this subordinate? General Murong asked anxiously. Fu Ye's cold gaze swept past General Murong. As I felt guilty toward the Murong family, I have always treated the Murong family well and condoned all the things that you all have done all these years. I have even sacrificed my daughter's happiness because of the Murong family. However, what had Murong Yang done in return? He is bullying my daughter together with these people. Your Majesty, Murong Yang is hopeless, but my son is not bad. How could you marry Her Highness to a man with an unknown origin? Lin Yao too was shocked. Enough. I have made up my mind. There is no room for argument, me for extra chapters. If Fu Yu still forcibly separated Qingzhou and that young master, not only would he upset Qingzhou, these people would think that Fu Yu had sacrificed his daughter as he was afraid of these people. How could he build up his prestige? Moreover, Fu Qingzhou might not be marrying that young master in the future. Hence, Fu Yu must not step back. You have made up your mind. Who do you think you are to make a decision for my father? Fu Qin sneered. For I own this kingdom, Haitian Kingdom. Murong Yang, I am giving you one last chance. Are you coming down? Fu Yu looked up at Murong Yang as he asked coldly. Startled, Murong Yang lowered his eyes to look at the two kids next to him and then turned to look at his father's anxious face. Suddenly, he chuckled softly. Tears ran down his cheek. You claim that you feel guilty toward the Murong family. Before my grandfather passed away, he begged you to marry Her Highness to me. Hence, you are just fulfilling your promise. Other than this, what is the preferential treatment for the people of the general manor? Why did my grandfather die? The rest may not know about this, but you know that very well, don't you? It's because of Fu Qingzhou. She was too headstrong and wanted to tame a Tier 6 advanced spirit beast. She actually wanted to tame a Tier 6 spirit beast with her own strength. She had enraged the spirit beast and my grandfather was killed by the spirit beast just to save her. The crowd burst into chatter. The eyes of everyone present widened in shock. Naturally, they knew that old General Murong died because of Fu Qingzhou, but they thought that he was killed by a powerful warrior from an enemy kingdom. Little did they know, it was because Fu Qingzhou insisted on taming a spirit beast. Chapter 1130, Enraged Feng Ruching II. Wait a minute. Something is wrong here. Isn't Fu Qingzhou the reincarnation of the ninth emperor? Don't all the beasts love her deeply? Why would they hurt her when she was able to tame a spirit beast? So, I have told everything to Miss Feng back then. It may seem like she could only tame weaker and lower intelligent spirit beasts to follow her. She can't tame the powerful spirit beasts. I have never told anyone that I like Fu Qingzhou. I felt sorry for my grandfather, and it's me, Mu Rongyang grimaced. But what did Fu Qingzhou do to me? I know that she hates me, she's disgusted by me. You told me to keep it a secret when I was with my grandfather, and I did. I didn't even tell you, father. But that Fu Qingzhou. What has made her think that my grandfather is using his life to help me? He genuinely liked Fu Qingzhou until he realized that Fu Qingzhou hated him so much. He suddenly understood a lot of things then, so he had not bothered her anymore. I have stopped liking Fu Qingzhou since then. At first, I thought she simply disliked me. But later, I realized that she had always treated me differently than others. I'm sorry, father. I'm still going to go against grandfather's wishes. Father, didn't you always teach me to be a decent man? I was ignorant before and would only pursue Fu Qingzhou. I didn't realize the truth about her until it was much too late. So this time, I want to be a real man and do what I'm supposed to do. Fu Qingzhi's face turned pale and her body was trembling because all the secrets had been revealed in front of the people. In the past, Mu Rongyang would come out and comfort Feng Qingzhou, who was in such a situation. But now, he would not do that anymore. He had gone through the abandonment and disappointment before. So now, he would never chase her around and embarrass himself again. General Mu Rong's lips were trembling as he took a few steps backward. Why? Why is it like this? Is it because the princess was facing the enemy back then and had dragged my father into it? He had once blamed the princess for it. After all, it was the princess who wanted to go out. His father must stand by the princess to protect her and it had cost him his life. But, thinking back, there was nothing he could have done because his father was a general. Protecting the princess was his duty. He could not have stopped the princess for fear that some enemy's skilled master would harm her. But why? The weak princess had insisted on taming an advanced tier 6 spirit beast. She clearly knew that she was not its opponent, but she still forced herself and had dragged his father with her, without any guilt. She had taken everything for granted. Me for extra chapters. Mu Rongyang. Fu Ye's face was livid with anger. Who told you that my daughter can't tame a tier 6 spirit beast? There are a lot of tier 6 spirit beasts here and all these were brought back by my daughter. Don't you try to insult her. Fu Qingzhi's face seemed better now. Luckily, she had brought back these spirit beasts with her as it could prove her strength. Otherwise, she might have been ruined by his words. General Mu Rong was trembling as he turned to Mu Rongyang. Younger, is it true? Yes, it is true, Mu Rongyang firmly replied. General Mu Rong laughed. My son had always been a jerk and had annoyed me. But, one good thing is, he would never lie when it comes to such a decent thing. I trust him. Chapter 1131, Enraged Feng Ruching IV. He was wrong. He should not force his son to come to this flower banquet. If he had known all this earlier, he would never have let his son pursue the princess. Unfortunately, he did not know anything about it. Surprisingly, he had been deceived for years. Guards. Fu Ye's eyes darkened. Take all these people down. Including Mu Rongyang. General Mu Rong, who was still in a sentimental mood, became furious as he heard the emperor's order. He then flailed his fist at Fu Yu, blue veins popping out on his forehead. Fu Yu became more serious and his eyes had turned cold. He lifted his hand and grabbed General Mu Rong's fist. Are you rebelling against me? My father died to save the princess and now you are going to kill my son. He is my only son, how am I going to live if you kill him? I, as a father, choose to fight against you for my son. Such a lot of nonsense. He was too old now to have another son. He would instead protect his one and only son than having another one that might only annoy him more. How could he simply let someone kill his son? He did not care about loyalty or filial piety anymore. At this moment, he just wanted to be a father. He could only break his promise to his late father. Great. Wonderful. General Mu Rong's clan is rebelling against me. Guards, take all of them now. As soon as Fu Yu finished giving that order, all the skilled masters of the palace had surrounded and were pointing their long swords at the people in front of them, leaving absolutely no way for them to escape at all. However, the way these people treated Fu Qin and Qing Han had thoroughly enraged the spirit beasts. Initially, these spirit beasts would only listen to Feng Ruqing. They would not act rashly without Feng Ruqing's command. After all, they were just spirit beasts. They did not always follow the rules as humans did. For this reason, the flame tiger suddenly rushed out when it saw a skilled master was headed toward Qing Han. Its sharp teeth glinted with a cold light and with a single bite, it had broken the person's neck. Blood flowed out. Not knowing what had happened, the guard immediately fell to the ground, dying with grievances. These spirit beasts. Are they attacking the wrong person? Lin Yun said with a trembling voice, they should attack that group of people, but why did they pounce at the Imperial Guard? Fu Qingzhou had also noticed that something was wrong. But before she could react, a six-armed ape rushed out and swung its 6 arms wildly. In an instant, 6 guards tumbled to the ground, continually twitching, even the rabbit that looked harmless had learned to bite. Its teeth were as sharp as a long sword. How? How did that happen? How could this be? Me for extra chapters. Haven't these spirit beasts been tamed by the princess? They must have attacked the wrong person. It must be this, the princess was so powerful, so she would not make such a mistake. Moreover, they clearly saw that these spirit beasts were so friendly to the princess. Otherwise, they would not have entered the palace so peacefully, without hurting a hair of any man in Haitian kingdom. This was the task that the princess had entrusted to them, but what was happening right now? Squeak. Just then, the door of the room behind them was pushed open along with a peal of clear, soft laugh. Nan Xian, already knew, and second uncle is also here. Once we go back, we can find a way to leave this place. The last 2 words had not been said, but the 2 people suddenly stopped talking.